What's going on, everyone? I hope you guys are doing well. Noah here. I wanted to make a video today talking to you all about a common mistake I see in terms of breathing during lifting, and really just go over how to breathe when you're lifting, because it's something that is so fundamental and so important to learn, especially if you're pursuing strength. But a lot of people don't do it right. A lot of people don't come across information that really explains to them how to properly breathe and brace their body for a heavy lift. So that's what I want to talk about today. So first, I think it's important to talk about what is the purpose of breathing when we are lifting weights. Purpose of breathing, as well as bracing, is basically to create rigidity in our torso so that this part of our body and this part of our body are moving in unison, right? It's almost like you want to make yourself barrel-like in terms of your torso. You want to create a lot of rigidity and stiffness through your torso so that your legs and the prime movers for whatever movement you're doing, whether it's a squat, bench press, deadlift, the prime movers are doing the work and not, for example, your low back or parts of your body that are really supposed to stabilize more so than lift the weight. So that's why we breathe, that's why we brace, is to make sure that we're engaging the right musculature and our body is working together. Now, what I mean when I say we want to make ourselves barrel-like is we want to make ourselves very stiff, very rigid, right? If you think about like a soda can, right? If that soda can is filled with air and it is stiff, it is rigid, you try to stomp down on top of it, you can apply a ton of force and it actually won't break, it actually won't give out. However, if you poke even just a tiny little hole in that soda can, right, we all know that you can easily just stomp the entire thing down. So it's the same way when we're trying to lift weights. If we have a bar on our back or in our hands or whatever, and we are not stiff, we are not rigid, that weight is really just going to do whatever it wants with us. It's going to throw us forward. It's going to, really just dominate us. And that's not what we want when we're lifting weights. We want to dominate the weights. So that's why we breathe. That's why we brace. And next, I want to talk about how to breathe and how to brace. So when I first started lifting weights, I don't know who came up with it, but I was aware of the term or phrase or belief that when you're lifting weights, you should breathe. What do people say? That you breathe in when you're, for example, in when you're going down and out when you're pushing back up during the concentric portion of the movement. I don't know who came up with that. I don't know where that came from, but it is entirely wrong. There's no reason to be breathing in and then out when you're lifting. What you actually want to do is, for each lift, you want to take a big breath in. So for example, if I'm squatting and I'm about to do a rep, I would take a big breath in to my belly, not to my upper chest. So what I mean by that is you're trying to breathe into this part of your body down here where we have our low back, our obliques, and our abs. We're trying to fill this part of our body with air, fill it with what's called intra-abdominal pressure, which is just a fancy term for saying we want air in here, we want pressure, and we want rigidity in here, so that, like I said, our low back isn't doing more movement than it should be, so that everything is locked in here, so that our legs and our upper body can be working together. So what we're really going for when we're lifting is to breathe deep into our belly and not up into our chest, right? We shouldn't see our chest filling up with air. We shouldn't see our chest rising when we're lifting. We don't want to take shallow breaths up here because there's nothing to really make rigid through your chest and shoulders. But there is a lot down here, our lower back, our abs, our obliques, that we should make rigid and that we should be breathing into. So if you don't know how to breathe into your belly as opposed to breathing into your chest, there's 3 things I want to suggest to you all that you can do to kind of feel this out, because it is new and different for a lot of people. So first one is going to be just breathing in through the nose. It's much easier to breathe into your belly if you're breathing in through the nose as opposed to breathing in through the mouth. So that's one thing you can try, is to inhale through the nose. Another thing you can do, and I got this from a Chris Duffin video, is to actually blow all of the air out of your torso. So literally just exhale repeatedly without inhaling. So going till you feel yourself running out of air. And what that does is it forces you to create pressure through this midsection of your body automatically if you just get all the air out of your body, right? So really make sure that you're getting as much air out of there as possible, and you should be able to feel what it's like to have rigidity in here, right? A third thing you can do that Squat University just covered recently is to physically push into your obliques or the front of your abs here, and then try and push out against that. So I'm pushing into my belly here, into my obliques, and then I'm expanding. You can see my fingers move out as I create pressure through my midsection. So once you've breathed in and you've taken that breath into your belly, you should hold that breath as you go down in the movement, and then you can exhale sort of towards the top of the movement. So for example, on a squat, that would be a big breath into the belly at the top, you hold it, you squat down, and then come up and exhale when you're standing or as you are getting to the standing position towards the very top. We don't want to breathe out at the bottom because we're still trying to lift through it, but if you breathe out at the top a little bit, that's okay. On a deadlift, similar sort of thing, you would breathe in really hard right before going, hold it, lift the weight, and then you can exhale when it's almost back on the ground or after you put it back on the ground, right? You need to do this on any sort of compound movement that you're doing, any sort of barbell movement really. You need to be bracing, you need to be breathing. But on smaller movements, like things with machines or barbell curls, I don't think that you have to be as intentional about it. You do need to brace your body in some capacity, otherwise that weight is again just going to completely dominate you. But I don't think that every rep of curls you need to stand there and then go through the whole process again, right? That's just gonna take a ton of energy. It's probably gonna take longer than it should if you're just trying to do some curls. And I don't really think it's necessary. But on the heavier, bigger movements that use a ton of different muscles, we definitely want our upper body and our lower body working in unison, so we want to be breathing properly when we want to be bracing properly. In the next video, I'm going to talk about how to use a belt, how a belt kind of relates to this breathing and bracing stuff. A lot of people get a lot of things wrong with belts, so stay tuned for that. If you got something from this video, please let me know and leave a like and a comment, and hope to see you all soon.